Today I'm going to show you how to sew a super quick and easy bell ornament. The pattern pieces for this are below in a link in the description box, or if you're watching from our website, alohasewingcompany.com, welcome and sew along. You can use any materials you want to make this ornament and embellish it in any way that you would like. If you want to take a picture or screenshot this to give you some ideas, feel free. Here is the pattern pieces cut out on my fabric. We have two bells, two bell tops, and I'm using a piece of 1/4 inch organza ribbon for my hanging loop. You can use whatever you want, yarn, twine, any other kind of ribbon as well. So now we're going to get our ornament top, and with the right sides together, we are going to sew along the top edge using about a 1/4 inch seam allowance. Do this for both of your ornaments and make sure your fabrics are right sides together. I could get a little bit closer than I did there, but that's okay. Now flip that ornament top up and do the same thing for both of your ornaments. Now we want to attach the hanging loop by just crisscrossing it at the top raw edges, and we're going to place this on one of our bell tops right in the top middle, overlapping it just a little bit over the top. You want to go ahead and baste this in place, which just is basically a couple stitches very close to the edge that you will not see on your finished project. And that's just to hold this hanging loop in place. Once you have that done, you can see I stayed very close to the edge here and my ribbon's overlapping just a tad bit just to make sure my stitches catch when I sew this together. Now get your back of your bell piece and lay it right on top, and we're going to have the right sides of your fabric facing each other, and go ahead and pin or clip around this ornament. We're going to leave about a 1.5 inch opening on the side that we are not going to sew closed, so that way we can flip this right side out. We want to also be careful that you don't catch your hanging loop in your seam allowance when you're sewing around here. So if you want to pin that hanging loop to the middle of the inside, you can also do that here. This is the area I'm not going to sew closed. It's about 1.5 inches wide, and I put some pins there to remind me not to sew that area closed. Using a 1/4 inch seam allowance, let's start right below that opening we're going to leave and sew all the way around our ornament, and I will show you how I do that for our beginner sewers. When you're sewing around curves, we are going to make sure we use a nice short stitch and sew slowly. We're going to start sewing, and when we get to our first curve or corner, keep your needle inside your fabric, lift your presser foot, and then rotate your fabric however you need to get it to the direction you need to sew in. Do this as many times as you need going around these curves and corners. And if you don't want that little bell at the bottom, just keep sewing straight. It's easier to do that anyways, and it's just as cute if you don't want that little bell. So you can continue sewing straight across that bottom if you want to instead of going down. Now go ahead and finish sewing all the way around this and stopping right where that last pin that I have here, so that way we have that whole opening. And this is the area you need to be careful and use a smaller seam allowance, maybe 1/8 of an inch right here at the top. So that way you don't catch that hanging loop in your seam allowance. You can even go through the hole right now on the side and push it to the side to make sure you don't catch it on the inside of your fabric pieces. Here is mine all sewn. Next, we are going to use some pinking shears. If you don't have these, I highly recommend you get these for ornament making. And that's so that you can clip all the way around your curves and clip your corners, and your fabric won't pucker once you flip this right side out. If you have regular scissors, that's totally fine too. Just make sure that you don't cut your whole opening fabric. You need a little extra fabric there. And if you're using regular scissors, cut some slits into your fabric right up to the stitches around any of your curves. Now we're going to flip this right side out through the whole opening. Just be careful and do this carefully so that way when you're pulling on your hanging loop, you don't accidentally pull it out of your stitches. If you're using something like I did in organza, it can be very delicate. And use your finger. I also like to use a chopstick to smoothen out the seams on the inside of my ornament. At your hole opening, you want to make sure that your fabric is pressed inwards about 1/4 of an inch, just to make sure it's smooth and flush with the rest of the fabric. And then I press it with my iron to get out any wrinkles and to hold this opening closed. You can see the fabric is pressed inwards about 1/4 of an inch. And if you want to add some structure to your ornament, now is the time to add some polyfill stuffing or whatever kind of stuffing you have on hand. To close that hole opening, you can put a little bit of hot glue right on the inside. You can top stitch it all the way around, or you can hand stitch it closed with a blind ladder stitch so that it doesn't show. If you're going to add hot glue, just put a little dot line right here and press it closed, and nobody will ever know. And now you're completely done with your ornament. You want to embellish it, you can. You can add anything you want to. Make this personalized to how you want it to look. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial and have fun sewing along with me. Please, please, please like this video and subscribe to my YouTube channel to see all of our easy sewing patterns as they're released. Visit AlohaSewingCompany.com, or the link is down below in the description box on YouTube to see all of our super easy sewing patterns that you can print at home so you can start to sew faster. We make sewing patterns for literally everything, from baby items, kids' clothes, decorations, holiday stuff and gifts, bags and more. And before you go, mahalo.